Ever feel like you're drowning in debt? Like no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to get your head above water.
It's a common feeling. A lot of people struggle with debt.
Yeah, and it can feel so overwhelming. That's why in this deep dive, we're going to tackle this beast head on. We're looking at a piece that lays out a pretty straightforward plan to escape the debt trap. It's just 3 steps.
3 steps, huh? Sounds almost too good to be true, but hey, I'm all ears.
Right, like how much can you really do with just 3 steps?
Okay.
But that's what we're here to find out. So the first step is all about getting up close and personal with your debt.
Get up close and personal. You mean like actually look at it? Because honestly, that's the last thing most people want to do when they're stressed about money.
It's kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Right.
You got to confront it head on. This source says you need to list out every single debt you have, every credit card, loan, everything. And not just the amount, but also the interest rate for each one.
Okay, so it's about getting organized. But what's the point of all that?
Well, I think for a lot of people, debt lives in this kind of nebulous cloud of stress. You know you have it, but you don't really want to think about it, let alone actually look at the numbers.
Yeah, I get it. Ignorance is bliss, right?
Exactly. But the thing is, that blissful ignorance, it can really come back to bite you. When you have a clear picture of your debt, you can actually start to make a plan to tackle it strategically.
Okay, so it's about moving from a place of fear and uncertainty to a place of, like, knowledge and control. I can see how that would be empowering.
And that brings us to step 2. So once you have your debt all laid out in front of you, this source says you got to focus on the one with the highest interest rate first.
Yeah, that makes sense. But isn't that, like, common knowledge? Pay off the high interest stuff first?
It is. But a lot of times, even when we know what we should be doing, actually putting it into practice can be tough. It's easy to get caught up in the minimum payment cycle.
Ugh, the dreaded minimum payment trap. That's where the credit card companies get you. You're stuck paying forever, and they're raking in the interest. This source called it insidious.
It is pretty sneaky. They make it seem like you're making progress, but those minimum payments, they're barely making a dent in the actual debt, especially with high interest rates.
It's like trying to empty a swimming pool with a teaspoon, you know?
Perfect analogy. But by focusing all your extra cash on that high interest debt first, you're essentially cutting off the head of the hydra.
Love the visual. So instead of chipping away at multiple debts slowly, you knock out the biggest, baddest one first. Then all that money you were putting towards that debt, it's freed up to tackle the next one.
Exactly. It creates this snowball effect, gaining momentum as you go. Okay, so we've confronted our debt. We're strategically tackling the high interest stuff first. What's next?
All right, this is where it gets interesting. Step 3 is all about embracing what this source calls frugal living.
Okay, yeah. Frugal living doesn't exactly sound like a party, does it?
Yeah, not really, but I think it's all about perspective, right? The source frames it more like mindful spending. It's not about depriving yourself, but rather being conscious and intentional about where your money's going.
So instead of cutting out lattes altogether, maybe it's about making coffee at home most days and treating yourself once a week.
Exactly. Or, instead of ordering takeout every night, try meal prepping a few times a week. Small changes like that can really add up.
And those small changes, those little bits of money you save here and there, they become the fuel for your debt-crushing snowball.
It all ties together. Who knew 3 simple steps could be so powerful?
Right. But it really highlights how important it is to be proactive and strategic about your finances. Even if you're not in debt right now, these principles like mindful spending and being organized, they can help you stay in control of your money and reach your financial goals.
It's like that old saying, a penny saved is a penny earned.
So true. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Hopefully, everyone listening feels a little more empowered to tackle their own debt and take control of their finances. Until next time.